Thank you, Helen,
You're welcome.
for joining me in doing this. I imagine that you have that some of my congregants will recognize you because you have worked with them training their dogs. You're kind of a locally famous problem solver and socializer of wild puppies.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've noticed as a Facebook friend of yours is how important your relationships with all of your animals are to you. As somebody who's been in your training classes, one of the things I appreciate is how important we humans are to you, and
Yes.
how affirming it is to be told that I'm a good human. I train my dog. We are talking in this worship service about how animals bless us. I think animal blessing services are often about us blessing the animals, but it's such a two-way street that I like to lift up that idea of how animals bless us. And I've noticed that for you, it seems like the place you find really a very deep comfort is when you're together with your horse.
Yes. Well, so Noah, I'll have had Noah for 3 years this fall. The owner of the barn said, I really think you should meet this horse. And I stepped into Noah's stall and there was an instant connection with him. Since then, and I was very pregnant at the time, so I didn't even have a chance to ride him or check that he was the right horse. I mean, it was not the right time to bring a horse into our lives financially, emotionally, but there was something about him for me that connected on a very deep level. And he is my recharge. He is the piece that he puts a piece back in place for me, similar to like when you go to a chiropractor and you get adjusted, or, for those of us that, go to congregation or go to our religious, when I go see Noah, that is what he grounds me. He puts me back on planet Earth. And there's nothing else that I can describe that matches it for me. People think that having a horse is all about riding. And so the first few months that I had Noah, I just had a baby. I'd had a C-section. I couldn't ride. So I would just sit in his stall. And, for me, just sitting in my horse's stall and listening to him chew, or having his head, resting up on my head, his chin on my head, or standing with him and just talking to him about my day. And that's all that I need. I don't need to ride my horse in order to decompress. Sometimes I would just take him out for a walk around the field or the pasture and sit with him. It brings a peace to you where, you are focused on just that animal at that time. And the nice thing about working with a horse, which I find I very much feel this way when I'm working with any animal other than a dog, mainly when I'm working with other exotic animals. Even I could say the same thing about my parrots. When you're working with an animal that is an animal of prey, in that they take a little bit more time to trust you, it means that you really can't be flimsy with your movements or with your behavior. You have to be focused. And the nice thing for me about that with Noah was it meant that, especially in those early days, I couldn't be thinking about other things going on. I had to be thinking about him right there. I had to be very present in the moment, which as a business owner and a mom is difficult, because I'm constantly carrying around, what am I going to be doing next? And what am I going to be doing later? And thinking about all this stuff. And by being with Noah, I had to forget all of those things. I had to just focus on my time with him and what we were doing. And that in and of itself was very healthy for me mentally. So whether I was sitting in his stall or whether I was riding him, it was just being present in the moment.
Which, perhaps not surprising to you, we often talk about in religious community, the importance of living in the now and experiencing each moment fully. But what's your religious background?
I was born in England, so I was raised Protestant. We went to church every Sunday and went to Sunday school. I wouldn't say that I'm not religious, but I don't practice every week. I don't go to congregation or anything like that. But I believe in something larger. I don't think that I don't, there can't not be, but I don't know if I necessarily identify it. I don't know what I call it. You know, you'll often hear me say that I'm talking to the universe, whoever that is. I definitely believe that there's something there guiding us and helping us when we need it. And honestly, my work with the animals is when I tap into that the most. When
I was just going to ask, is that part of it with your relationship
Yes.
with Noah, that it helps you feel like you're more connected?
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's not just with Noah. I definitely feel it with Noah more because, like I said, it's like meditation. I have to just focus on him at that time. But I also feel it when I'm working with rescue dogs or when I'm working with a dog or an animal that really needs help or anything like that. It's just like is a completely grounding experience. I have a hard time understanding people that don't have that feeling when they're working with animals. You know, I have a hard time describing it because, you know, I have so many animals in my house and people are like, how can you live with that? And I'm like, how can you not? How can you not have that kind of sensation or feeling in your life? So that's my religious background.
A lot of people who come to the Unitarian Universalist Church have a similar story of I'm not able to ascribe to a particular creed, but I feel there's something and I want a community to help me explore that.
And I would say the animals are my community for that.
Having worked with you with animals, you know, it's so clearly a passion and a calling for you. To walk down Main Street in Concord with a class of dogs who have all figured out, whose humans have all figured out too, how to help them walk down a busy city street and go into a bookstore and behave reasonably. In a way, I feel like you're in a similar position to me. You're a minister, but you're ministering to the canine relationships with dogs and their humans.
And a lot of people feel that way as they come to classes more. You know, they feel like that 1 hour that they come to that class where they get to just work with their dog, they start learning how to tap in. You know, they start learning how to just forget about everything and just train your dog. Just spend some time with your animal and be present in that moment because your dog doesn't care about what bills are due tomorrow or what's going on at work. They just want to work with you and be with you. And you start learning about that. That's, I think, why people really, really love it is it's like, this is fun. I can put my ego away and just spend an hour just having fun with my best friend. And I love that with my dogs, but my horse is where I get to go and do that. I don't have to coach anybody else. It's just me. It's just me and my horse. Horse life and having my horse is really wonderful because I don't show. I don't know a lot. It's not like I don't have the same level of knowledge with horses that I do with dogs. And I love that because I don't know enough. And I'm a total novice horse owner, but I just want to sit with my horse in his stall and give him carrots and just love that time. He's just my best friend.
And your little one's too young to ride, right?
Yeah, she's too young to ride solo, but she rides with me and we'll put her on Noah's back and I'll just lead her around. I honestly think that barn life for kids, you know, barn and animal life for kids is one of the best things that you can teach them with compassion and patience and all of that. So we frequent the barn together as a family a lot.
How old is she?
She's 2.
2. Wow.
I know.
And she's up there. She can sit on him.
Oh yeah.
On her own.
She sits and we ride Western. So she holds on to the horn of the saddle and just goes around the ring. And, you know, she's a complete daredevil compared to Grace, who's much more cautious, but she's the one that goes faster. And I'm like, you're not ready for faster yet. You know, like, let me duct tape you to the saddle and then we'll talk about going a little faster.
I think I've got more than enough to put together a little clip that will be wonderful. Cool. Can I see your puppy?
Yes.
He is so cute. Remind me his name.
His name is Chess. I'm exhausted. You're a good
baby
boy.
Puppy.
Aww. And He's exactly what I was talking about, like for Grace. So, we bring these senior dogs in all the time, but, we bring these dogs in and they don't have very long, and it gets really hard for Grace, who's 9. And we had COVID happen. So she hasn't had any school, no social interaction. And then this whole George Floyd thing, my ex-husband, her father is a police officer. And she was on one of her games, and that one of the kids was like, "Hey, Grace, isn't your dad a cop?" And she said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I heard that only good cops are dead cops." And she's just been having oh, I know. And she's just been having the hardest time. So I was like, you know what? I think we're just going to bring a little joy in, and we're just going to get this tiny smooshed faced puppy for everybody. And it was like the best decision, because it's been really, really good for her. People will be like, "Oh, you're crazy. How do you have so many?" It's like, it's just who I am. It's all part of our tapestry at this house.